Bring up the channel. See if we can't find it now. Hopefully it's properly loading onto the channel. There it is there. Audio is working as it should. The stream's up, the chat's up. We're all good to go. That is absolutely fantastic. Hello everyone and welcome to round 8 of the PlayStation Elite Series here on Race Spec Esports. I'm LaneEveringham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit for the British Grand Prix. One of the most historically significant circuits in the world of motorsport, Silverstone was originally an RAF airfield used during the Second World War. It was turned into a racetrack in 1947, and in 1950 it would host the first ever Formula One World Championship race. Within the 7 decades between then and now, Silverstone has turned into one of Europe's and one of the world's premier racing facilities. Its layout measures up at 5.89 kilometres and consists of 18 corners and 2 DRS zones that lead down the Wellington Straight into Turn 6 Brooklands and down the Hangar Straight into Turn 15 Stowe Corner. These two areas will prove to be prime overtaking spots among a couple of other overtaking spots such as Turns 3's Village and the Turn 16-17 chicane of Vale. For the rest of the circuit, the drivers will have to be mindful of several technical sections, most notably the incredibly fast Copse Corner Turn 9, which is quite notorious in these kinds of conditions. And the most famous part of the circuit, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel S's, formed by turns 10 through 14. These corners have a very fine margin for error, especially in the wet, so a single mistake could prove costly. Being a well-known, well-raced circuit, qualifying tends to be very close and very competitive, and races tend to be quite similar. This is fantastic, as this is the second sprint round of the championship. Now, before we focus on qualifying, there is a bit of news to go through first from last week's race at Suzuka. There were no incident reports whatsoever from last week's race, so the final results remain unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, Marcus Costa is leading the way on 179 points, followed by Ferrari Pro on 146. Silderford is P3 on 118, followed by Plevs on 104, Bags Liddell on 86, then Spicy on 75, followed by his teammate ACW on 70. P8 is Hillers on 67, followed by Vengeance on 54, and Pump rounds out the top 10 on 52. In the Constructors, Williams are leading on 233 points, followed by Ferrari on 185, then McLaren on 156. They're in a relatively tight battle with Mercedes-AMG as they're on 145, just 11 points behind. 5 points behind them is Red Bull Racing, rounding out the top 5. 6th place is Aston Martin on 119, followed by Haas on 85, AlphaTauri on 83, Alpine on 35, and at the bottom of the table is Alfa Romeo on 22 points. Well, that's pretty much news out of the way. We can now focus on what should hopefully be an interesting qualifying session. I can introduce my co-commentator for this evening, who is once again KD1997. KD, you've driven around this racetrack a number of times over your racing career. What are your thoughts about this legendary British racetrack?
Thanks for having me again. Well, I do really respect this racetrack quite a bit. Of course, of its historical significance, like you've mentioned, it's the very first racetrack that's ever been hosted a Formula One Grand Prix in 1950. But I really like this track because it's very fast. It's got some technicality to it, especially with the Maggots and Beckett's complex. I really enjoy going through that bit. But it's shall we say, it also produces quite a bit of DRS strains I've seen in the past races I've done here at Silverstone, because of just how close it is. Like, it's pretty much the way it is around Silverstone. Is if you're in this DRS strain, since it's significant about this when you race around this place, that's pretty much the key of it. If you're not in that DRS strain or whatever, or not in the pack of cars that you're supposed to be with, you will be a bit of a sitting duck. So that it will be crucial.
Vengeance is out of qualifying. I believe he's crashed at the exit of the final corner.
He has crashed at the final corner.
You see, he's stopped stationary at the finish line, and there he is there.
Yep,
he's
right
gone into the wall head first. The wall that separates the pit straight and the pit lane. So Vengeance, even though he's got a time on the board, is out of qualifying. He will not be able to improve on that time of a 1 minute 44.2, which I suggest isn't very competitive, as his teammate, Marcus Costa, has set the fastest time with a 42.7.
Probably my guess is that he either A, hits the inside curb at the final corner, or B, just took too much draw. Salami goes to the top of the table.
Yep.
Now by 2 100ths.
Yeah, not much separating the top two at the moment. Even in these wet weather conditions, we can see some pretty tight qualifying. Ferrari Pro is making his way up towards Copse Corner, turn 9. In dry conditions, this is quite a notorious turn. In wet conditions, it turns into a total nightmare. A very, very fast corner, very much on the edge of grip. If you make a mistake, you can spin out, and on a racetrack as slippery as this, you're more than likely going to end up in the barrier. Coming around Chapel and onto the hangar straight, this is where drivers would open DRS and head up towards Stowe, but obviously in these conditions you don't have DRS available to you. Entering Stowe at just under 320 kilometers an hour, brings it down to 4th gear, gets back on the accelerator nice and gently. You don't want to be too aggressive on the throttle. Very easy to spin the car out in the dry, let alone in the wet. Coming out of Vale and around Club Corner, the final turn on the racetrack, you'll cross the line to jump to the top of the table. By some margin too. 1 minute 42.2. You reckon the conditions might be improving just a little bit?
Possibly, we'll see, but that's still quite a bit of a gap, as Power now goes top of the table by just about half a tenth with a 42.1. But I don't know, I don't really see it improving too much. It still looks like it's heavy wet weather conditions.
Yeah, I
maybe
agree.
maybe we'll wait until later into the session, and then we'll see the
times. Hillers has lost it down the old pitch straight. He was coming around Woodcote, turn 8, and he was sideways and sideways and sideways. He tried to gather it up, but eventually he lost control and put it into the gravel trap. Fortunately, though, he keeps it out of the wall. A Ferrari is coming. It's Ferrari Pro, the only Ferrari in this race. And Hillers gets going again. But you don't see that too often at Woodcote, of all places. Turn 8.
No, you don't. Especially if it's a flat-out bit of corner. ACW now goes top for 141.7, so now he's first driver to crack into the 41s here. But
Silver Fort has just begun a flying lap, making his way through the first two turns. Give you a guided tour of this racetrack. Down towards turn 3, the hairpin of Village, 4th gear, getting back on the accelerator, and around turn 4's the loop. Very, very tight hairpin. You need to be so careful on the accelerator to not lose the back end of the car. Around Aintree, where he loses the back end of the car, he makes his way down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands turn 6. As Ferrari Pro jumps to the top with a 41.4, I do think the conditions are improving out there. The times are starting to tumble. Around Luffield turn 7, you'll be avoiding the outside curve there, as you can see, trying to stay on the black stuff where you have plenty of grip. Up towards Copse Corner, turn 9, 8th gear, 312 kilometers an hour, the entry speed, 212 kilometers an hour, the apex speed in these full wet conditions. Now into the famous Maggots and Beckett Cessers, turns 11 and 12, around turn 13, up towards turn 14, 5th gear on the exit there, up to 6 again, snapping at the back end of the car, but he keeps it under control as he heads down the hangar straight towards Stowe Corner, one of the better overtaking spots on the circuit. 5th gear, gently applying the accelerator, again having to catch the car on quite a few occasions over the course of this lap. It shows that he's pushing hard through the Vale chicane, turn 16 and 17, and up to the final corner, turn 18, then back onto the Wellington Straight, the Hamilton Straight, I should say, to complete the lap with a 42.883. Goes P8 with that lap time.
Yeah, quite a bit of snappy car there that Silver Force got. Maybe it's just that he's got... Zach is retired from the session. That's at the...
severe collision penalty with Hillers.
That's at the hangar straight, I think.
The two have come together. You can see the Aston Martin dead on the left-hand side of the hangar straight. On board here with Spicy. See if we can't catch it. There he is there. So, because of the severe collision penalty, I can only assume that Hillers and Zach came together down the straight.
What's strange to me is that he doesn't have damage. Well, what from I can't see. He didn't have damage to his front wing.
So yeah, peculiar.
Very interesting incident. Well, that's unfortunate because that means he'll drop 5 places after the sprint race.
Correct. The penalty doesn't apply in the sprint.
Yeah, because like you mentioned, it is a sprint round. So yeah, it's quite unfortunate.
We've still got drivers out on track. This is what you tend to see during these wet weather conditions. Like in the dry, you just tend to see drivers do 1 lap, then go back into the pits, put on a new set of tyres, and then go out again. In the wet, though, you tend to see drivers set consecutive laps, one after another, trying to get the flow of the racetrack spot on. It's quite a nifty trick to do. I tend to do it myself because it just gives me a greater deal of confidence out there in these sort of tricky conditions, just to try and get my rhythm up and sort of let the car sort of turn itself up lap on lap as the fuel dwindles away and the tyres start to switch on.
Yeah, I do the same thing too. I put roughly about, I don't know, maybe about 8 to 9 kilos of fuel, I'd say, maybe a bit more. Yep. And like you mentioned, just let the fuel just dwindle down and get the flow.
Yep.
Marcus Costa goes 4th quickest, 42.1, not too bad from the Williams driver.
Still a fair pace off Ferrari Pro though. That is 7 tenths off.
Yeah, I know. I was going to mention that too. It's quite a bit of a margin. Yeah.
I wonder what the setups are like for some of these cars for these conditions. Maybe we might have dry running in both the sprint and in the main race, so drivers might be out there with a car that's more adapted to the dry than it is for the wet. And some drivers taking a bit of a gamble with the wet weather setup, try and take advantage of this qualifying session and get to the front. So, because another thing about the DRS trains in the dry, it's very difficult to move your way up through them. If you're in the middle of them, you're kind of stuck there. Because the car behind you has DRS, and the car in front of you has DRS. So you're not gaining, you're not net gaining. So, it's always nice to have track position at the start of the race, especially here at Silverstone. Other tracks are the same, a bit like Monza in a way, where you get a lot of DRS trains forming in that. You want to get as far up the field as possible, as ACW does exactly that. 41.4, he beats Ferrari Pro by 6 thousandths of a second. It's not much.
There's flags. Oh, that might be for us or something coming out. But anyway, yeah, no, kind of like what I mentioned earlier too about the DRS chains. You do need to be kind of within it too, because like I mentioned, if you're not, then you're going to lose out to the car in front of you.
Yes.
So if you're going to be in that DRS search train, you want to be like the second car up the front of it, because it basically what you could do is obviously you stay within the tow, you stay within the slipstream. You also save battery too as well, which is the biggest significance of being the second part of the queue. You can do the same thing in the middle, but like you mentioned as well, you do get stuck. So that's the other unfortunate thing.
So basically, you just need to be at the right place at the right time during the race. When you're stuck in one of those DRS trains, as Pump is making his way through the final sector, through the Vale chicane of turns 16 and 17, and up towards Club Corner, turn 18. Short shifting his way up through the gears. The car stepping out, but he catches it well. 4th place for him with a 41.6.
Not too bad. Didn't he qualify in P4 in last time, if I remember correctly?
He did qualify.
Or somewhere in the top 5?
He did qualify up in the top 5. I vaguely remember that. I think both the McLarens had a decent qualifying, if I last recall, from Suzuka. So no, Pump's on decent form. ACW goes back into the pits, and there's 3 minutes left on the clock. I think ACW's session is done, because it's a fairly long pit lane here at Silverstone. It's a decent lengthy outlap and inlap here, especially in wet weather conditions. You can see the guys right now, they're setting 41s, 1 minute 41s. That's a pretty long lap. That's the length of Singapore
in a way.
So,
yeah, or Spa in the dry, in a sense too.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think for ACW, his qualifying session is donezo. Yeah, if that, it's going to be incredibly close. As his teammate Spicy is making his way down the Hamilton Straight into Abbey Turn 1 to begin what could be his final flying lap of the session. Around Turn 2, Pado's retired in the pit lane. The best he can do is P6 with a 42.1. Through Turn 3, up towards the loop. Turn 4, third gear. Getting back on the accelerator in fourth gear. You can see the back end not at all cooperating on the Mercedes-Benz as he heads down the Wellington Straight up towards Brooklands. First sector says for Spicy, he's up by a tenth of a second. Ferrari Pro, meanwhile, will begin what could be his final flying lap in this qualifying session. Up towards Abbey, 7th gear, bringing it down to 6th gear, getting back on the accelerator. The car looking nice and stable from what I can see, and into the hairpin of Village, 2nd gear. Will he short shift? The answer is no. He keeps it in 2nd at the entry to turn 4. And he will use 2nd at the exit as well. He'll short shift, but a fair time after the exit. Up towards the 1st sector split for Ferrari Pro. What will the clock say for the Ferrari driver? It says he's down by a tenth and a half, so he's lost time. Spicy has invalidated in the middle of his flying lap, but he should have enough time on the clock to get back into the pits. As a spin, it's Hilles at the exit of Chapel. He's had a moment heading out of Chapel and onto the hangar straight. Andre beginning a flying lap, power sight on one as well as he heads down the Wellington Straight up towards the 1st sector split. The clock says for the Alfa Romeo driver, he's up by 0.2 of a second. Silverfort's up by 0.3 of the 1st sector as he makes his way around Chapel, or the back end stepping out, losing time, and he's only 0.06 up now. Marcus Costa, he's beginning his final flying lap. Oh, he had a moment coming out of turn 5. He caught it, but I reckon he lost time. 1st sector says he's down by a tenth. He has lost time.
I wonder if he maybe got distracted by Andre because he spun coming out of that same corner as well.
Yeah, probably. It only takes a small distraction to seriously throw a driver off. So, yeah, even a small one like that, yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised. ACW's making his way through Vale. He's got 4, 3, 2. Yeah, he didn't have enough time. Yeah. It's qualifying over for him.
Clock's over. Yep.
Spicy's up by 0.2 to the 1st sector. Pump will cross the line to jump up to pole position with a 41.120. Can anyone respond? Ferrari Pro making his way around turn 4 up towards turn 5. Looks like he's having another go on a flying lap as he makes his way down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands. 1st sector says as Bags retires in the pit lane. Ferrari Pro is up by 21 thousandths to the 1st sector. Spicy's up by 0.3 to the middle sector. Costa's up by 6.5 tenths to the middle sector. He makes his way out of the Vale chicane and around Club Corner for the final time in qualifying. He'll cross the line to jump to P2 with a 41.3. A nice recovery, but it's not pole position. Spicy, meanwhile, making his way through the final part of the racetrack and around Club Corner. Can he snatch pole from Pump? The answer is no! He misses out by 0.06 of a second. He slots to P2. Now Ferrari Pro, he's making his way around Chapel and onto the hangar straight, and he's still down by 0.2 of a second. He needs to find a lot of time in this final sector if he wants to try and challenge for pole position. He heads around Stowe Corner. Will he go into the pits? Will he complete this flying lap? He's going to give this flying lap a go. Meanwhile, Silverford, he's going to complete this lap. He's up by 0.6 of a second. As he heads around Club, loses control, crosses the line. It's P6 for him. Ferrari Pro, he'll cross the line. And it's P5. Looking at the steering wheel there. Yes, it is.
Yeah, if he didn't improve at all.
So there we are.
Well, what did we say about Pump? Yeah, what did we say about his form?
Yeah, he's on decent form, I'd say.
Yeah, very good form.
41.1. He's our pole sitter for the sprint race. Spicy P2, followed by Marcus Costa, our championship leader, then ACW in 4th, then Ferrari Pro, Silverford, Bags, Liddell, YT, Pato, and Plebs rounds out the top 10. Then we got Roscoe on P11, followed by Hilles, who will have a 5 grid place penalty for the start of the main race. G-Force Zach is P13, followed by Marvelin, then Powersight, Vengeance, and Andre will start from the very back in 17th place. Oh, an interesting qualifying session in some very tricky conditions, I'd say.
Well, now it's time for the sprints. But this is where any driver that wants to make up points, well, this is definitely one of the big chances as well. The sprints, of course, with 10 points on the bag.
Yep, 10 points for a race win, then it'll count down by a point all the way down to P10. You can see it's overcast as well, but no wet weather. There isn't any water on the racetrack, so the drivers will be starting on slick tyres. It will either be a choice of the soft tyre or the medium compound tyre. What are you going with, KD, in these sort of conditions? What do you reckon?
You gotta go to the medium tire. You have to go to the mediums. From what I understand, soft tires burn very quickly around Silverstone. So, yeah, you have to really go for the mediums.
Fair enough.
For this sort of occasion. It sounds like I'm going to say that in the others too, I feel. But, yeah.
Let's see who's doing what then for the start of the sprint race. Counter gets to 0, and the drivers will set off on the first formation lap of this event. Well, it's a bit of a mix, KD. It's a mix.
Wow. I did not expect that.
For this 9-lap race at Silverstone, the top 2 are starting on the soft compound tyre. Costa and ACW, P3 and 4. Same with Ferrari Pro in P5, they're starting on the mediums. Silderfort and Bags Liddell in P6 and 7, they're starting on the soft tyre. YTP 8 is starting on the mediums. Then from Pato, Plevs, Roscoe Arm, Hilles, GeForce Zach and Marvelin, they're all starting on the soft compound tyre. And we got Powersight, Vengeance and Andre to complete the grid. They're all on the mediums. So we got 7 cars on the medium compound tyre. That means 10 on the softs. The majority of drivers picking the soft compound tyre.
That I did not expect at all. Really. I mean, maybe, like, I would have expected, I don't know, like 3, 4?
Yeah.
Perhaps? Like, to be on the softs. I didn't expect more than that.
There you go. We got over half the field on the soft tyre.
Yeah, maybe they know something I don't.
Well, maybe. Just maybe. You can still see it's very overcast, isn't it?
Yes. That makes a lot of sense.
We might see... Well, not only that, we might see rain.
Yeah, that's a good point. We could maybe see it maybe some point of the race. You're right.
So...
We did have wet weather conditions in qualifying, so yeah, that definitely wouldn't be out of the table.
I guess there's only one way to find out. So...
Yeah. And it still looks like it's threatening conditions, too. Like,
yeah, it's definitely plenty of cloud. Like, you can't see an inkling of blue sky anywhere. It is properly overcast, so... Oh, we might see some rain. We might see some bottled strategies. We might see some interesting racing. It's raining! It's raining! Oh, the halo, it's raining! Oh my goodness me! As the drivers line up, the heavens have opened! It is starting to rain here at Silverstone as the drivers line up into their grid slots. Oh, have the medium runners botched it? Well, we're going to find out. All 17 cars are lined up ready to race. The pole sitter and the Spicy on the front row, they're lined up ready to go. We got 9 laps in front of us and 5 red lights. And we are underway for the sprint race. Yellow flags are out. The leaders make their way down towards turn 1. Spicy trying to fight here through Abbey. Up towards turn 2. He gets in front of the McLaren. He's into the race leader. Silverfort, for some reason, is currently occupying the top spot. Heading up towards turn 4. You can see Costa trying to fight around the outside of Pump as they head up towards Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight. Bags Liddell and ACW side by side as they head down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands for the first time in race conditions. Around turn 6 they go, up towards turn 7. Luffield, nice and steady through here. You don't want to be too eager on the accelerator, not with cold tyres anyway, as they head down the old pitch straight up towards Copse Corner. Side by side between Costa and Ferrari Pro. Into Copse we go. Ferrari Pro with the inside line. He stays in front of the Williams as they head up towards the famous S's of Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Costa tries to fight, but to no avail. He has to stay behind the Ferrari as they head around turn 13, around turn 14, and on to the hangar straight. Silverford gets a 3-second time penalty. He's still appearing at the top of the table. Ferrari Pro moving about. Costa trying to find a way
he's
by.
He's moving about there.
Wow,
oh my goodness.
Defending hard, fighting hard on the first lap of the race. Ferrari Pro will hang on to third.
Oh my goodness.
ACW!
Oh, something's ACW! He spun it at the Vale Chicane. Oh, that's got to be careful. Huh?
Is it just me, or were the cars ghosting all the way through that first lap?
I noticed at one point, I couldn't tell who it was though that ghosted. Or what, maybe it was more than that, I'm not sure, but I noticed there was ghosting.
And is Silverford at the top of the table for you, out of curiosity?
No, Silverford is 6th.
Interesting. He's at the top of the table for me.
Oh yeah, I can see that in your stream. Yeah, he's fighting with Plebs for 6th place. Plebs is trying to fight him right now to Brooklands.
I don't know why it's doing that. I have absolutely no idea. Oh, now it's put him in the right spot. There we go. He's now P6. I don't know. Lap 1 glitch. Got no idea what's going on.
Probably had a bad day. But yeah, now you could. I do see some raindrops though, a little bit.
It's still.
I don't know if you could see. It's still like streaking.
We're not at intermediate conditions. Nowhere near that. Silverford gets a 3-second time penalty. Yeah, running wide there at Cops. It got him a warning. He's out to 6 seconds, isn't it? Yeah, he is. So
yeah, already we're 2 laps into the race.
He's doing really well accumulating warnings, I'd say. Up towards Stowe. The leader's Spicy from Pump. Ferrari Pro and P3. That time between Ferrari Pro and Pump still needs to be fixed. That'll be fixed in the first sector. Marcus Costa in P4. Followed by Bags and Silverford. Plebs P6. As Vengeance marveling, battling for position. Vengeance gets in front. He's into 9th. As they head around. Oh, hello, Yellow's around.
Oh, Bags has spun it at the far corner.
Oh, yes, he has.
I think he hit the curb or something at the club.
Oh, dearie dear. Oh, and Hiller's, Andre, Powerside, they're all in. All of them into pit lane.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Damage.
Down the...
No, intermediate. Illa's on intermediate conditions. Or intermediate tires, rather, sorry.
So, are they taking a gamble? It's not for...
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
spin again. It's the other Aston of G-Force Zach spinning out at the exit of Aintree. He gets pointed back in the right direction. He's now a long way behind the rest of the field.
But look, you can also see the track's actually getting a little bit more wetter. Look at it.
You can see the raindrops hitting the surface. You can see there, Spicy. He took a lot of the inside apex there at Cops. As Silverfort and Plebs are battling. Oh, running wide. Oh, spinning out is Plebs. Oh. And hello, Pat. How do you
goodness
do?
Me.
He spun out as well. 2 drivers spinning out at 1 turn, and through goes Bags Liddell into 11th. Oh, and Plebs is continuing to spin. The track is getting worse out there. You need to be so incredibly careful as Roscoe Arm is closing in on Vengeance, heading up towards Stowe Corner, but he's not close enough to try and get by.
Pitting.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Costa!
Costa's overtaken Ferrari Pro. Costa's overtaken him at pit entry. He's in front. He's into third.
Did he ghost? Like, he seriously ghosted for me.
They were side by side at pit entry. Costa got in front and took out the speed limiter.
Yeah, I saw that. No, I saw that. I'm saying because you should have ran to the back of him, but instead he ghosted it. I don't know, unless my eyes are just playing tricks.
Well, I noticed here in the chat, Wogboy, he's mentioned something. Is collisions turned off?
You know what? I'll look at that for you.
I'll look as well. Hang on.
What would that be? Simulation settings.
I'm guessing.
No, collisions. No, it's turned on.
It is turned on?
Yeah, ghosting's turned on, collisions turned on. Yeah, no, all the settings are correct.
Interesting.
What's on earth?
That's very weird. I don't know. Because, yeah, what you're saying is true, and that's quite odd.
But, yeah, okay. Maybe he did avoid it. I don't know. But I don't know. But either way, even after Marcus Costa overtook him at the pit lane, Ferrari Pro still stays ahead of him. So it seems that little jump at pit entry amounted to
nothing, I suppose, except for a bit of action for us watching along. Yeah, that's so strange. Like, I saw all this ghosting on the first lap, and then, yeah, you mentioned what happened at pit entry between Costa and Ferrari Pro. Wogboy did put up the question, was collisions turned off? So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the answer, well, confirmed it for you, it's on, but yeah, I don't know. That's very odd. But either way, that's all we know.
Vengeance trying to attack Gilles, who finds himself in 9th place after he pitted a lap early. Remember that? He was one of the early runners into pit lane. He's P6 right now. He's just made up 6 spots. Vengeance has made up 9 himself. Of course, he'll serve that 5 grid place penalty in the main race, but even so, Gilles is doing a half-decent job getting towards the front and putting himself in a better position for the main race.
The main thing too is he is going to score some points because of that too. That
too, absolutely right. Costa's got a nice run out to the loop. Coming out of Aintree now, he switches on the battery. He is right behind Ferrari Pro, looking around the outside as they head into Brooklands. Ferrari Pro goes deep, runs a bit wide, but he'll cover the apex at Luffield. Costa doesn't care though. He's trying to fight around the long way, but can't get the rotation, can't get the grip to try and battle Ferrari Pro at the exit of Luffield. Heading up towards Cops Corner now. 2 tenths separating the two. Look at the closing speed. It's a mess.
He's got some straight line speed, I think, in
My
that
goodness,
thing.
he does. Here he goes. He's
on
the
he
attack.
comes!
Around the outside, he looks here. They're side by side as they head through Maggots and Beckett's. Up towards 13, wheel-to-wheel contact. Up towards turn 14, Chapel, and back onto the hangar straight. We know how much speed Costa has in a straight line. He switches on the battery, sitting in the slipstream, looking around the long way into Stowe Corner. Ferrari Pro, he'll outbrake his rival. He'll outbrake him too much. He'll run wide, and through into 3rd place goes Costa.
Wow, that was a great battle, I'm not going to lie. That's insane.
Really
in
tight
those conditions.
Stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Really tight, but they made it work.
I didn't think it was going to. Yeah, no, it was fair. No, it was completely fair. But, my gosh.
That was truly something. So, Ferrari Pro down to 4th, and we saw briefly those massive straight line speed differences between himself and Ferrari Pro. So, he should be able to pull away, I think. So here we go, around Aintree. Look at the gap, 7 tenths, 7.5 tenths, 8 tenths. He's not just quicker down the straights, he's got better traction out of the corner. He's able to propel himself away. So, yeah, Ferrari Pro can't do a thing. The best he can hope for is 4th, because the car behind him has 6 seconds worth of pens.
Oh yeah, of course, unless Costa makes a mistake, but still, that's...
True.
Look how much speed he gains. He gained 3 tenths out of the exit of Luffield. That's
he's got this thing hooked up pretty well in these conditions. He's got 4 laps to try and catch up to Pump. I reckon Spicy might be a bit too far away to try and battle, as ACW and Whitey battle for position. So ACW has gone by Whitey of Cops Corner, of all places. That must have took some commitment and probably a bit of teamwork as well from both ACW and Whitey in order to, you know, make that work. As they head down the straight towards Stowe Corner. Again, Whitey not close enough to attack, so ACW, his next target will be Marvelin. Vengeance, Gilles, battling for position as they head through Vale. A nice run here by Vengeance as he goes down the inside. Oh, Gilles hangs on around the outside though.
Okay.
Nice.
I thought he would have gone there. Yeah, no, I thought he would have gone there. Also, Plebs has confirmed what happened to him. Taken out by Silverford at Cops Corner is what happened to him.
I noticed those two were pretty close together at turn 9. Yeah. Plebs now down in well and truly last place as G-Force Zach gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Rockscar's just behind this as well. We're going to have a 3-car fight in a minute for P6 on track. Oh, a little bit wide. Can he get it? Oh, he can't get the late apex. The back end stood out Oh, and it stood down again!
It's still go. Yeah. Marvel could get involved in this too if he can catch up.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
too far away.
Now Vengeance has got all this work to do. He has to close in an 8/10 gap to Hillez. He's got tons of battery to spend, mind you. He's got over 70%. So he can spend whatever he wants down the straight, but so can Hillez. Even with 41%, that's more than enough to try and keep cars behind. I mean, of course, you have to be more sensible with how you spend it, but even so, you've got enough to try and attack and defend. The Vengeance closing in, Roscom. There's Marvelet and ACW. ACW closing in on Marvelet. Oh, a bit of a moment again from Vengeance, losing a little bit of time, a few hundredths here and there at the exit of the corner, through the chicane of Vale, up towards Club Corner. Half a second, you can hear the throttle being gently applied through the corner. Don't want to be too aggressive on the throttle. 2 laps to go as well. Lap 8 of 9 here in the sprint race. Through turn 2, up towards turn 3. Vengeance closing in bit by bit. Roscoe Arm just losing a little bit of time as they head around the loop. Turn 4. Notice as well, Costa hasn't really closed in on the top 2. So long as Spicy and Pump keep it straight, should finish first and second at this rate.
Yeah.
Around Brooklands. Lovely shot that. I like that shot.
Yeah. Brooklyn's, the aerial shot of Brooklands is really nice.
The aerial shot is the best shot for sure at that corner. Fortunately with Silverstone there are quite a few nice camera angles, which I can not say for some other racetracks that we go to on the calendar. Cough, cough, Suzuka, cough, cough. As Hillers runs awfully wide there at Cops. And here comes Vengeance through the S's of Maggots and Beckett's. Through 10 and 11, through turn 12, and around turn 13. And through Chapel, turn 14, and back onto the hangar straight. You can see him switching on the battery, sitting in the slipstream. Then he decides to switch it off. Not going to use all the battery just yet, it seems. Marvelin's under a bit of pressure from ACW as they head around Stowe Corner and up towards the Vale chicane. The leaders have begun the final lap. Lap 9 of 9 in this sprint race. Vengeance still applying pressure as Hillez makes a mistake. He loses the back end through turn 17. Around turn 18, he loses the back end again, but he catches it well. But only 2.5 tenths separate these two cars as Zach overtakes Andre through turn 1, through turn 2, up towards turn 3. Will there be an overtake? Not quite. Hillez defends, but looking around the outside is Vengeance, which will turn to the... Oh, contact between the two cars. Vengeance almost had to come to a stop there at the exit of turn 3. Hillez running awfully wide at turn 4. With Vengeance, he can counter-attack. He's got battery to counter-attack. And ACW seems to have lost a little bit of time to Marvelant as well. But now, if this fight, we got 5 cars here, all in a train. Hillez, Vengeance, Roscoe, Marvelant, and ACW. Just a single mistake, and it blows this train wide open as they head up towards Cops Corner for the final time. Chucking it in, hitting the apex well. Half a second separating the two cars as they head into the famous S's through turn 10, 11, 12, now up towards turns 13 and 14. Meanwhile, out in front, Spicy's going to take a win here. The sprint race win at Silverstone. He's driven quite well. Hasn't put a foot wrong since the race start. He'll take the checkered flag and he'll start from pole position in the main race, as well as a healthy 10 points next to his name. Pump P2, Marcus Costa P3, beating his closest rival Ferrari Pro, who finishes P4. Silderfort crosses the line sideways. So does Hillez. Oh, he loses a position. No, Vengeance tumbles down the order.
No, Vengeance did. Hillez gained a position, apparently.
Did Vengeance have a time penalty?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah, he had a 3-second time penalty.
I see. And dropped him all the way down to 10th. Yikes.
I probably should have mentioned that earlier. That's probably been my bad.
I didn't even see it. So...
Fair enough.
But no, he'll finish P10 Vengeance. P5 then to Hillez, Roscoe, P6 then Marvelant to P7. Then ACW, Whitey and Vengeance. Rounds out the top 10 and the point scoring places. Outside the 10, we have Bags, Silverford, Powerside, Andre, Pato, Zach, and Plevs will be our final finisher in 17th. So, Hillez given driver of the day. Fair enough, I suppose. Starting towards the back, making his way up into the top 5. But he will be starting from P10, thanks to his penalty from qualifying. Spicy taking the win here in the sprint race and a healthy 10 points. Pump P2, followed by Marcus Costa, then Ferrari Pro. Hillez P5, so he'll take 5 points, or rather 6 points for his efforts. Then Roscoe Arm, then Marvelin, ACW Whitey, and Vengeance rounding out the 10. Yeah. Yeah, I see. 5-second time penalty.
Oh, yeah, 5 seconds. Yeah, okay, so
what's that for then?
I don't know.
Oh, of course. That's right. Can't look at Race Director for some reason.
Yep, glitch.
Yeah, this is a new one, so...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's another glitch I've actually discovered. So apparently there was one bit where I commented another race, and I went to go to the race director just to see, certain drivers if they started on a certain tire and whatnot. And then when I tried to go back, it went to like the graphic to where the race ended. Like I don't know. It was very strange, and you can't back out of it or whatnot. I had to close the application and then get back into the lobby.
Alright, I'm not touching Race Director then.
Yeah.
No touchy. No touch.
Yeah.
That's stupid though, but not
No,
surprising.
it is stupid. Yep, I know. It's a new glitch, apparently, but yeah.
Feature, as Codemasters would put it.
Sorry, feature. Well,
you want to return to the main menu faster? Well, allow us to crash a lobby for you. So.
Or just ruin your spectating experience. Well, or we had the brilliant audio feature we had for about 2 months.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
The first 2 months. I know, I love sounding like I'm in a blender.
Drivers setting off on their second formation lap for the main race here at Silverstone. Now, again, we have a mixed field when it comes to tyre strategy, but not with the soft tyre this time, but with the hard tyre. Top 2, Spicy and Pump, they're starting on the medium compound tyre. Marcus Costa and Ferrari Pro, they're both starting on the hards. Roscoe Arm and Marvelin, they're both starting on the mediums. ACW Whitey and Vengeance are all starting on the hards. Hillez P10 starting on the mediums. Bags Liddell in 11 starting on hards. Silverfort, Powersight and Andre are starting on the mediums. And completing the field we have Pato, Zach and Plevs. All of them are starting on the hard tyre. So what's that? 3, 7, 9 starting on the hard tyre. That means 8 are on the mediums. So closer to a 50-50 split this time around when it comes to strategy.
That's not so surprising either. I wouldn't. Either way, well, considering that we've seen that numerous times in this game. And no one even touches the soft tire anyway, because obviously, as we've said a lot of times, it's completely useless for races like this.
Yeah, absolutely. But it demonstrated that in the sprint format it can work. You need a bit of weather to help you out, but it can work, so...
True.
Even so,
Especially
in the main race, it is completely useless. I mean, it sort of dwindles the strategies, because it limits it to either hard medium or medium hard, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's usually one-stop strategies. Like, I like to have a race where it's just more than one stop. Like, I like to have a two-stop strategy.
And of course, if we have safety cars and whatnot, we don't have people diving in for new tyres, because you only have one set of mediums and one set of hards. For this weekend, though, we do have 2 sets of mediums, thanks to the sprint race. So, you do have that added bit of flexibility. So, it'll be interesting to see if some drivers who started on the soft compound in the sprint decide to use that second set if the opportunity arises. So, as Silverford almost loses it on the grid. He did lose it. He completely missed his grid box. Gee whiz.
So, the hell is. So, 2 drivers that did the exact same thing.
All 17 cars are once again lined up, ready to race. We've got 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the main race is underway here at Silverstone. It's a nice start from Spicy once again. He'll lead the field around turn 1. Pump under attack from Marcus Costa. Through turn... Wheel-to-wheel contact between the 2 cars as they head up towards turn 3. Costa trying to fight around the outside. Can't get it done, though. Tries to fight down the inside of turn 4. But with the grip of the medium compound tyre, Pump is able to stay in front. But Spicy is pulled away by 7/10 on the opening lap. Now... Ferrari Pro has lost a little bit of ground. He's down to P5 behind Roscoe. Marvelin's trying to battle here. ACW involved. Oh, running wide is ACW. Oh,
it's Whitey. Whitey's made Hill has made contact. Oh, and then a spin too for Zach. Oh dear. Yeah, Hill has made contact with Whitey at Brooklands, and Zach, I think he just spun on his own, from what it looked like to me.
Plevs now gets in front of Silderfort there at Cop's corner. Silderfort just letting the McLaren driver through. So Plevs up 6 spots from the start as they head through the famous S's of Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Still a tight fight here at the front. Really unfortunate for Whitey and Zach. Get caught up in an accident in the first lap. Never ever ideal, especially around the racetrack. As you mentioned already, KD. When you're not in that main group, when you're not in a DRS train, you are properly screwed. So they'll be praying for a safety car at some point.
But yeah, how about Pato and Plebs, though, getting 6 places on the opening lap after starting from the back of the grid?
Yeah, that's
after
right.
their unfortunate race in the sprint. Salami sets the fastest lap. Of course, it is lap 1, obviously. But, yeah, nice bit of ground. But, yeah, of course, the biggest loser out of this, unfortunately, would be Whitey, who lost 8 places.
Yeah, and he's 2.7 seconds behind. He's got a bit of work to do to try and catch up as the leaders head onto the Wellington Straight and up towards Brooklands. Ferrari Pro not keeping pace with the front runners. Granted, 3 of those 4 front runners are on the medium compound tyre. Costa's in the middle of it on the hard compound tyre, so he's having to push on tyres that don't have the same level of grip as the medium tyre, but he's making it work. He's staying in 3rd position. Roscoe not really in a place to try and attack Marcus Costa as they head into the S's once again. Very high speed through here, very much on the edge of grip. If you go beyond that edge of grip, you spin. Fortunately, there is tons of runoff area for you to spin and not hit a barrier, though I have seen on a few occasions drivers do end up in the barrier when they get it seriously wrong. As Bags is overtaken by Plevs there. Plevs down the inside. Bags, can he try and fight back? The answer is no. Bags slots into 11th position behind Plevs as Pump sets a new fastest lap with a 31.5. The McLaren driver.
I think Ferrari Pro might have more downforce compared to some of the cars in front, because I've noticed between him and Roscoe, he's got a pretty big significant difference. I mean, I'm on miles an hour. He's about maybe 5 to 8 miles an hour slower compared to Roscoe Ferrari Pro is. There's a yellow flag out.
Hiller's spinning out at turn 3.
Yep, and why? Oh, okay. Why is like on my end? I just saw Whitey off the racetrack there for a brief moment, and then he just like back onto the track.
Teleported back on. It's a teleportation feature that he has in the Alpine. That's all it is.
Pretty much.
Spicy still out in front by 7/10 of a second to Pump. Costa similar distance behind in P3, followed by Roscoe in P4. And yeah, pretty healthy size gap, 1.3 seconds. But as you rightly mentioned, he gains through the corners. He's gained about a 10th or so through the S's. But at the exit, he starts to lose time. So yeah, it seems like he's got a setup, probably preference towards the wet weather from qualifying, maybe.
I probably would agree on that, but yeah, no, he loses quite a bit of time, on the straights. Which is something that we've learned about these cars, is that apparently straight line speed is very key with these things too.
Absolutely, we saw that a lot at Suzuka. It was more prevalent in Suzuka than I'd say here. But then again, around this racetrack, the pace is usually pretty close between the drivers. So, yeah, as Ferrari Pro, he's not gaining too much through the first sector. He needs to find 3/10 to catch up to Roscoe, who does have DRS, even though he's 1.1 seconds behind. So he must have been within a second at turn 3. So he's keeping himself in this top 3 train. But Costa is putting himself in a really, really solid position. He's up in the top 3. He's up with the race leaders, but he's on the hard tyre.
And once he gets onto the mediums, he'll be much, much quicker, though. But as long as he can keep within that train, he'll, like you mentioned, he'll definitely be in a very good spot.
Absolutely. So, the only thing that might hurt him is a early safety car. Yeah,
early one. Yeah, but ideally he doesn't want one to come out during his the medium pit window.
Yeah, that's right. If you get it during that sort of period, you kind of put yourself on the back foot, because it means you would have to either stay out and put yourself a pit stop behind, as he has a moment out of Vale, but you'll put yourself a pit stop behind everybody, or you go onto the medium tyre. And you know you have to do a fairly lengthy size stint on the tyre. So,
kind of like how I had to in Suzuka.
Correct.
With also damage I had to deal with on lap 1, mind you, too.
With a glitch that still isn't fixed, where the team doesn't properly repair a front wing.
Yeah, and it was lime green damage, too, so it didn't feel like, like I had to pit urgently, but it felt understeery. The car felt understeery, though.
Noticeable.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's still a glitch in the game, still very much a glitch. You need to turn it to yes. You can't leave it on auto. You need to turn it to yes. And I think you have to try and confirm it with Mark over the radio. I've noticed every time I've hit pit confirmed, it tends to do what I tell it to. So, that's just me. As ACW is applying a ton of pressure to Marvelin. Marvelin, he's been hounded by the Mercedes driver. Not much he's going to do about this. Look at that. That's DRS in a nutshell. Nothing you can do.
330 kilometers an hour, too, before he got to Stowe. So, yeah, he's got some straight line speed in that Merc as well.
His next target will be Ferrari Pro and Roscoe, who is losing the train. Yellows are out again. It's Pato and Vengeance, I think.
Oh, yep, at Vale. Oh, hello. Hi, cars.
Cars making their way through.
Oh, that's a bit of... Sorry about the gibberish. Yeah, he almost re-entered a bit awkwardly there between himself and Whitey.
They got through it okay.
Yeah, at least.
No, Vengeance has got a bit of work to do now. Down in 15th, that's a final point scoring spot. I'm sure he would want a lot more than that. Similar story with Pato, spun out at the same part of the circuit. I wonder if the two came together at that part of Vale. Cost themselves both a few positions. Pato in a better spot though, P11. Just outside of the top 10. Bags hovering behind Silderford, who was hovering behind Plebs in P8. Bit of a gap to Marvelin, then ACW, then Ferrari Pro and Roscoe. Top 3 steadily building a margin over the rest of the field. That being Spicy, Pump and Marcus Costa as they head down the hanger straight towards Stowe. Leave on the brakes here. Through Stowe. Using plenty of curb at the exit of the corner. You have to make sure you don't use too much though, otherwise you will cop a warning. Done that on quite a few occasions. It's not like F1 2019. Yeah, he's in.
Russell's going in. That's quite early, I think, isn't it?
I agree.
Because if I remember correctly, the lap window for mediums was lap 12 to 15. I don't know if you got that, but yeah, that's what it said for me.
Front wing it already? No.
No, it's a genuine stop. Sorry.
Interesting.
And yeah, Silverfoot's got a penalty. Yeah, that's very interesting.
I don't know if the undercut will work though. I think the overcut's better here, if I recall.
Yeah, because you gotta get those tires up to temperature.
They take forever on this game.
Especially with the hards.
Down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands. Still got a few battles going on out on track. But again, we got these DRS trains formed where if you're in the middle of them, you really just can't do anything. You're just kind of stuck. You're waiting for somebody to make a mistake. For those in sort of these two-car groups, though, the battle is well and truly on. One of which is Ferrari Pro and ACW, P4 and 5 on track. ACW closing in. These two were championship rivals last season. One of them's a championship contender. ACW's just not had the most solid of openings to a season. He still has an opportunity to make a comeback if he can, as he makes his way up towards the Vale chicane. 4 tenths separating these two cars as Vengeance overtakes Whitey. That is for P13. Onto the Hamilton Straight and up towards turn 1. 6 tenths separating these two cars. I'm sorry, 3 tenths. I read the wrong gap as they head up towards turn 3. You can see ACW just chipping away. He needs a nice run through the loop, ideally. Plus Aintree, of course, turn 5. But the main area of concern will be turn 4. You need a nice run out of 4. Switch on the battery, switch on DRS, and look at the closing rate. It's ridiculous. Yellow flags are out. Yep. It's a Haas.
That
Hillis?
would be Hillis, I think. It was. Yep, he spotted coming. Oh, he nearly has a moment again. Took you too much cover there at the loop.
Yeah, that's the second time he's spun at turn 3. As Vengeance overtakes Palisade. He's up to P12. So Vengeance is starting to put the hammer down, starting to make up places. As Pump is closing in on the race leader. Spicy making his way through turn 13. Around turn 14. 3.5 tenths separating the two cars. DRS open. Not using any battery though. Down the hangar straight. Not bothering to fight the Mercedes driver just yet.
Well, he's finding now. Here he goes.
Down the
inside. Yep, and easy to look. Yellow. Oh, that's another Haas there. Oh, Hillis is out. He's crashed down at Maggots and Beckett's. Oh, that's a full course safety car.
He's kivvy at it.
He has, yeah.
It's precisely what he's done. He's kivvy at it.
Yeah, the same area. That kivvy crash. Yeah,
might have done the same thing, riding that inside curb, and then losing control and putting it into the wall on the left. So.
Well, you're smiling if you're Pump and Spicy, though.
Anyone on the medium tire would be smiling. I don't know about well.
True.
They're pitting onto mediums. They're going for it. I mean, we will be spending a few laps behind the safety car, so they won't be doing as long as, like, what would it be, 16 laps if this was green.
Yeah, true.
They'll be doing, like, 14, 13, so...
Yeah. Yeah, and a couple of these laps that they're going to be doing are not racing laps, so it won't stress the tires.
That's right.
At least.
So I reckon everyone will pit. Oh, and I've noticed as well, these guys are stacked up behind the safety car. Those who just pitted might get a fairly decent advantage from this.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because look, the safety car's crawling around the racetrack. They're able to go at race speed. So,
yep, and Silverfort's the leading car out of the race speed. Well, at least in that sort of way, but yeah.
Everyone behind the safety car right now is completely screwed. They're going to lose so much track position.
Yeah, they're gonna be towards near the back.
What a fascinating turn of events this has turned out to be. So the safety car, this should work out for all medium runners, ideally. And maybe for the hard runners, I'm not sure, but...
Well, we're about to find out for that. But, yeah, now Silverford could take the lead if everyone pits in front of him.
Everyone has to pit. There's no way you don't pit. You have to.
Yeah, you'll be a pit stop behind if you don't pit. Oh, if a couple stay out. Spicy.
Oh! Everybody stacked up at pit entry.
Pump was inside Spicy too.
Yeah, because everyone bunched up at pit entry and no one collided with one another.
Marcus Costa's going to be a pit stop behind out of all this.
Yeah, He's sort of gambling, I think, at this point for a safety car. A second one.
Another one, yeah. Oh, and plus I had a double stack with Pump.
Here they come. Through they go. Everyone who was in the bottom half of the field is now the front half.
At the top. What a strange coincidence. Roscoe pitted, like, he was the first to pit. He's in 5th. Out of all this. Well.
Spicy, who was our race leader, is 11th.
Wow.
Is 11th. He's just lost 10 places thanks to this safety car. Costa's taking a gamble. He's taking a huge gamble.
Yeah, if a safety car comes out again, then he'll be okay. But yeah, he has to pray for another one.
We've literally flipped the grid.
We have. It's like a light switch.
Mate, this is a sprint race, but with the reverse grid format.
Yeah.
That's what this has turned into. What is going on? Oh, he almost goes into the back of the safety car. Mate, I wouldn't get too close to that bloody thing. Alright, it's made of white dwarf stars. It is solid. You can't break it. It can only break you. Safety car in this lap. Alright.
Well, here we go.
I agree, one boy. Silverfort looking pretty solid. He does have a time penalty next to his name, though, of 3 seconds, which might hurt him. But this is huge. We flipped the grid, closing in on the halfway mark of this race. Marcus Costa is our race leader, but he is a whole pit stop behind everybody. He is taking a punt. I can't help but respect that. Through the Vale chicane. Around Club Corner. We begin. Lap 11 of 26. We have got 16 laps to go. What's going to happen? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. That's the beauty of it. As
Ferrari Pro
overtakes Pump.
Or on the attack here as Vengeance down the inside of Andre. He moves into P6. Bit of battling going on here as Powersight and Whitey battle for position. As they head around turn 4, Powersight gets an awful exit. G4 Zach closes in. So does Ferrari Pro down in P11. He knows he needs to attack and attack now while those tyres are still good. Spicy under a bit of pressure from Pump and AC and everyone else, to be honest, behind him.
ACW trying to go around the outside? He's trying to. Oh, he can't make the move stick. He's just stuck in that McLaren. He's just stuck in that McLaren sandwich.
Oh, contact!
Oh my
goodness! How did that not result in an accident? I do not know, but somehow ACW is up into 13th, and I'm sure Pump isn't happy about it. Contact down the old pitch straight into Cops Corner. Somehow, someway, that did not result in an accident. And I bet your bottom dollar, Plebs wants to get by his teammate and try and attack. Meanwhile, speaking of attacking, Bags Liddell around the outside of Silverfort there at Stowe. He's into second position. The provisional race lead as they head through Vale, around Club Corner, and onto the Hamilton Straight. Paddo's on the attack. Bags Liddell sets the fastest lap. They head down towards turn 1. Abbey through turn 2. Ferrari Pro's overtaking Powerside. He's into P10. Down to Village, turn 3. Spicy's overtaking Powerside.
Spicy got... Oh, not Spicy, but ACW's trying to get past Marvelin. He's trying to go down the inside into turn 3. Oh, that's close. Very close indeed. ACW can't get by his team, but they got past Marvelin. Here comes Plebs. And they have to loop.
Oh, he loses it! And around the outside goes his teammate Pump into 13th. Plebs has thrown it away at turn 5. And he's down to 16th. ACW has overtaken his teammate. He's into P11. Meanwhile, out in front, there's a battle going on. 2 tenths between the top two as they head towards Cops Corner, up towards the infamous S's of Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Bags Liddell can line him up. He's got battery. He's got grip. He's cutting the track.
Got
a 3-second time penalty. You're joking. Around Chapel, turn 14, and on to...
And here comes Pato.
Oh, yes, here he comes. Look at the speed. That's ridiculous. He's through into third. He's into the top three. Around Stone we go. He's got some long legs.
Here comes Bags on Costa. Here he comes. Oh, he clubbers the curb. He can't get it done.
He has to stay behind for now, and I'll bunch up the pack behind. Tightening this battle. DRS is now enabled on lap 13 of 26 as they head into turn 1, up towards turn 2. 0.2 of a second separating these two cars. It's not much. It's not much at all. Vengeance getting by Roscoe. Roscoe down to P6. Alright, here we go. DRS open. Down the Wellington straight. Not using any battery though. He doesn't want to attack just yet. He wants to stay behind. Whitey attacking Andre. Down the inside at Brooklands. And he's through into P7. G-Force Zach just behind. Same with Ferrari Pro. All that pace the leaders had at the beginning of this race means nothing when they're stuck in the midfield. They are completely stuck back here. They cannot move forward at all. They're just stuck. That is insane.
I know. Amazing at what the safety car would do.
Absolutely. It's completely flipped this race. It's turned it upside down.
Keep your eye on Bags. He's got DRS.
Here he comes.
Closing.
0.2. 1.5 tenths. Looking around the outside of Stowe. He can't get it done still. He stays behind in P2. Down towards the Vale chicane. He doesn't look aggressive. He doesn't want to get by just yet. He's staying behind. Zach overtakes Andre. That's for P8. Moves himself into 8. Oh, for iPrize to go as well. He's into 9th.
And ACW might follow suit too.
Yeah, he does too.
Yep. That's Carson's got a penalty too.
Oh dear, race leader has got 3 seconds.
He's cut too much of turn 1. He's cut too much of turn 1.
Really easy to do too at turn 1. There's so much inside curve you can use. You're just drawn into it. Cutting too much, it can result in a penalty. Down to Wellington. Up towards Brooklands, looking round the outside, Bag for down. He's going to do it, you know. Down the inside at Luffield, he takes the race lead. Fantastic. He's into the race lead with an audacious move around the outside at turn 6.
Nice move. That was crucial there for Bags. That was very, very crucial.
Now he needs to take advantage of the clear air he's got and pull away. If he can, of course.
Well, I don't think Costa's done with him, though. Knowing him,
yeah,
I don't think he's done.
Too true. Those are very true words. He's got battery to spend. He can use it. I think for his race, he needs to stay at the front of the field for as long as possible and pray. So, he needs to pray, needs to stay at the front. Up towards the Vale chicane. He's losing ground, though.
Meanwhile, at 7. Oh, Zach. Trying to head on a Whitey for 7th place. Whitey looking around the outside. Zach covers them off those Bags that's fastest lap with a 30.6. Nicely defensive move there from the Aston Martin in that part of the field. Moving all at the front, so still hanging on, at least for the front for the time being.
I don't think this battle's over between Whitey and these two either.
I think Pato lost the back end there for a little bit, unless it was just lag.
It probably was. Like, I have noticed they're moving around a fair bit.
Yeah, I haven't noticed. Yeah, I have been noticing that too.
So the connection isn't fantastic, so they are moving a bit. Here comes Whitey though. He's got DRS and he's got tons of battery, which I can't say the same for G4 Zach. He's on 5%. That's not a lot of battery by any means, and he's not getting it back either. As Marvelin overtakes his teammate Powerside for P14.
Pato and Costa, by the way.
Yep.
At the cops.
Down the inside, he looks.
Inside, and the cops got contact.
Spinning.
No, he makes contact with another car. So another car just hit him too, I think. Someone else just hit him.
On my screen, they got through all okay. I don't think he was hit by anyone else.
Oh, it looked like he got tagged by somebody else, unless on my end. Okay,
looked okay from me. So Pato's race is done. He's at the back now. Regardless of what happened, his race is pretty much over down in P16 as ACW overtakes Ferrari Pro. So ACW into 8th now. Can Ferrari Pro fight back? The answer is no. Not at the Vale chicane anyway. So yes, wheel-to-wheel contact between Pato and Costa. And Pato unfortunately, got the short end of the stick. So...
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you go side-by-side through cops. It's not an easy place to go through side-by-side.
Yeah, not all the time. I mean, you can make overtakes, but yeah.
You need a lot of respect from both cars to give room to one another, which isn't easy to do through such a fast corner. So, no, there's Silverford trying to look down the inside of Costa. They're side by side, entering left field. Costa keeps the nose in front. Vengeance now joins the battle. So now it's gone from Costa potentially winning this race before the safety car. Now his teammate's in with a shot.
And it wasn't even anywhere near that while back.
He was at the other end of the field trying to make his way through. He's now fourth, trying to attack the two in front of him.
Just remember, too, the top three do have penalties, at least right now. Vengeance doesn't have one.
Neither does Roscoe as well.
And Roscoe, yeah.
He's a second behind, and he's on the harder tire. Granted, they're a little bit older. Oh,
Silverford around the outside. Can he make it to contact? And Silverford gets another penalty.
Yeah, that was running wide, I suppose. At Stowe.
Stowe, yeah, that's what it was.
So, that's another penalty. That's 6 seconds now. Yep, 6 seconds for the Red Bull driver that he needs to overcome. That's not going to be easy where the competitiveness has been this ridiculousness. Like, it's ridiculous right now how close it is between everyone. And they're all fighting for sheet stations. They're going for it. Down the inside goes Ferrari Pro into P8. Spicy's now on the back of Whitey. Can he find a way by? Maybe heading down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklyn. No, he's not close enough. Doesn't have the run. Whitey's still got decent straight line speed in that Alpine. So long as he's got DRS, he should be relatively untouchable. Pledge gets by Marvelin. That was for P13. Oh, I'm sure Vengeance, though, is just telling his teammate, mate, you mind letting me through?
I probably would tell him that if I were him.
Yeah, if they were in the same party, I'll be telling mate.
He's literally in the most ideal situation out of literally anyone, at least in the top four.
Oh, here comes Costa, though. Here he comes on the attack around the outside. Side by side through Stowe. They both get through. Costa's back into P2 and pits. So he balked up Silverford. Now Vengeance is on the back of the Red Bull. The battle is on for P2 and Roscoe Arms just behind as well.
Maybe that was a bit more of a tactical way. Just like you said, must be, just like you mentioned, it halted him up a bit, and he's lost time, and now Vengeance is on the back of him.
Here we go. Around the loop. Oh, that might have been lag. Oh no, the gap shrunk. It was about half a second, now 3/10.
It's 3/10. Vengeance needs to close up a second, though, to Bags if he wants to get the win.
Yeah, and they're on the same tyre. They're both on the mediums here, so it's going to be a straight dogfight in terms of pace between Bags Liddell and Vengeance at that point. Of course, this race will completely change. The scope of this race will change if we have another safety car. If.
Absolutely.
So, drivers need to be mindful of that. We're both mindful of that. But, at the moment, this has been some good stuff as Vengeance is going to line up Silverford here. Switches on the battery. Has DRS wide open. And Silverford can't do a thing about it. Vengeance is into P2. Closes up on the brakes, so there's Silverford. Got very close to the Williams, but not close enough to counter. Vengeance into P2. He is 3.5 seconds behind Bags Liddell. Needs to close in by a little over half a second to be in the fight for a win. That's if, of course, he doesn't get a 3-second time penalty.
Oh, Zach spun it. He spun it. At Vale Chicane, I think that was.
Yep.
Or towards Club.
Had to cut a bit of the track there. It's probably a wise thing to do to not impede anyone when spinning again.
And another spin is Parasite at the final turn. Leading onto the main straightaway. Well, Hamilton straightaway.
3.5 seconds still separating the top two. Silverfort has not let Vengeance go. Roscoe still about a second behind. He's there or thereabouts. How hard will Silverfort fight for position? Will he go for broke? Will he be conservative? He knows he's got time penalties. But I've seen drivers with time penalties, they can still fight pretty hard. So, wait and see. Of course, those medium tyres will die off towards the end, so Silverfort will start to pick up pace again relative to the medium runners towards the end of the race. So, we'll bring up that graphic just to keep an eye out. So, Silverfort and Roscoe are both on the hard tyres, same with Spicy Pump and Andre in P8, 9 and 10. Marvelant's on the hard tyre as well, same with Power Sight, but he's had a spin on the previous lap. So, yeah, the realistic guys we've got to look out for. Silverfort, Roscoe, the three drivers are Spicy Pump and Andre, as Zach gets by Marvelant for P12. For the medium runners, we've got to look out for the top two, ACW, Ferrari Pro, and Whitey. Plevs as well, he's just behind Andre, as Pato pits off the medium tyre. Interesting.
Probably doesn't... guess he doesn't believe those mediums can go to the end.
Maybe.
I suppose.
Maybe. As Pato's actually left. Costa sets in his fastest lap on the soft tyre. He's down in P14. He needs luck. Right here, now.
He needs a safety car to come out to bring him back in this.
I mean, if he finishes P14, it would be easily the worst result he's had all season. And this will end his podium streak as well.
Yeah, because he's had every podium, had a podium every single race so far.
Yeah, so Costa's been on brilliant for.
Ferrari Pro 3 second time penalty. I said 5 for whatever reason. Yeah, that's costly though. Still,
3.3 seconds is the gap between the top two. It's awing and ahhing between the two. It's fluctuating, that gap. It's going a little bit Bags as well, a little bit Vengeance way. They're pushing hard. They're giving it all they've got. Though I'd say it might be a bit more difficult for Vengeance because he's got a Red Bull behind him filling his mirrors. And those hard tyres are steadily turning on little by little. As Plevs gets by Andre for P10. So both McLarens now in the top 10. So they're looking at a decent bundle of points, but it's not what they would have hoped for, especially after Pump put it on pole for the sprint and came in second for the sprint race. So yeah, it's not been the best day in the office. Granted, for Pump, it's not driver error. It was just getting completely shafted by the safety car.
It's just luck.
Just horrible luck.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's what happens in
it's
most
part
cases.
Of the game. It's just, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally everything, not just motorsport.
Yeah,
but in anything.
Right. Half a second, still separating P2 and 3. This isn't over. No, it's anything but over. Silverfort's closing in. I don't think he's realistically in a shot for a win here, Silverfort, unless something catastrophic happens to just about everyone around him. But I'm still thinking he'll be willing to push for position. He doesn't have a lot of battery. Got plenty of fuel. He's got a lap over. Just over 5 laps to go, so he should have enough fuel to get to the end. Vengeance, 3.4 is the gap. He's still unable to claw in on race leader Bags. Bags is holding his own, doing a nice job out in front.
Yep, so about 3.4 seconds. Unless, for whatever reason, Vengeance gets a penalty, well, that changes the game.
That completely changes the game.
Yep, gets the fair play. Yeah, still we got a lot of racing. Still some racing to go. Oh, hello, Silverfort. You're trying to go down the inside. Well, it looked like you did.
Well, he was awfully close, according to that interval. Vengeance hasn't lost time. He's gained a little bit on Bags, just a little, just a hint. Silverfort is still very much keeping the Williams company. He's not letting go.
Probably the best, probably what he's trying to do as well. Maybe this is just my thinking. Is probably he's trying to use him as a bit of a tow anchor so he can pull away from Roscoe. Because remember, he does have 6 seconds. with the time penalties.
Oh, there we go!
Oh, vengeance!
Vengeance, a 3-second time
The commentator's
penalty.
curse! Oh, I put the
corner.
Oh my god, I put the commentator's curse on him.
Vengeance with 3. It's an even game between the top 2. That's probably the happiest thing Bags and saw.
And here comes Silverfort. Yeah.
Oh.
Here he comes. Oh, not close.
That was close.
Yeah.
Spicy closing in on Whitey as well. We've got a few battles starting to spread up. The hard tyres, they're starting to switch on. The medium tyres, they're starting to switch off. We have got 4 laps to go. It's lap 23 of 26, so we've still got a fair distance left in this race. But it's now fair game between the top 2, and Silverfort's having at him. The battle's on for second. On track at least.
Keep your eye maybe on Roscoe if he can try to catch up to these guys.
Yeah, he's, what, 5, almost 6 seconds behind the race leader.
Yeah. Oh, here comes Silverfort.
Down the inside here.
The inside. He's got it.
Yep, easy move.
Vengeance can't. Yep, and Vengeance can do nothing.
Ooh!
Oh! Except that. Nearly right into the back of him.
Around turn 7. Spicy's in front of Whitey. Pump is closing in behind in P9. 2.5 tenths separating the two cars as they head down the old pitch straight towards Copse Corner. 7th gear chucking it in. Using a healthy amount of curb. He's got to run. Pump closing in, closing in, closing in. Zach overtakes Andre before Copse Corner. He's into P11. Nice move there. A lot of cooperation though from Andre just to let the overtake happen. And here comes Punt. DRS open. ERS
can't do a damn thing about it.
I reckon he's got front wing damage as well. Minor front wing damage on that Alpine. He's missing chunks off the top of it. So I reckon he might have a lime green wing on that Alpine.
Probably. Okay, so he's probably suffering what I suffered in Suzuka last week.
Potentially, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Back to the penalty game, I guess. Power sight 3 seconds.
Speaking of you and your big mouth.
He's down in 15th. He doesn't need to be worried about time penalties at this point. He'll just be happy to finish 15th and get 1 point.
No. To be fair, though, I gave that more to frickin' Vengeance for what I said.
Yeah, turn 9. And I'm guessing he ran wide at turn 9 and just... Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Probably got a penalty as well.
So Spicy's overtaken Ferrari Pro at turn 6. Spicy's into P6. He now has to try and close in on his teammate. It's quite a remarkable turnaround of events after that safety car period. It absolutely shuffled everybody around. Pump's overtaken Ferrari Pro. Those medium tyres have fallen off. Ferrari Pro's been overtaken by 2 cars in 1 sector, about 3 corners apart. So these mediums really starting to fall off with 2 and a bit laps to go. So,
I wonder, do you think we could possibly see punctures?
Potentially.
I mean, maybe it's potential, yeah. But I mean, Silverfort has closed in quite significantly. I know he's 2.3 seconds, but still, he has closed significantly compared to what he was beforehand.
The medium tyres are really starting to switch off. Those on the mediums, they're going into conservative mode. And this is bringing Roscoe Arm back into this fight.
Yeah.
So if I switch this to leader, he is 5.4 seconds behind Bags Liddell. If he can get within 3 seconds of Bags at the end of the last lap, he could win this race. Silverfort, his opportunity, I don't think he has it. Unless he passes Bags and builds up a 3-second margin on the last lap, which will take a monumental effort, his best result will probably be, oh goodness, about a 5th at this stage with ACW.
Yeah.
So,
and Roscoe would have to close in a second at this lap. He would have to close another second at the end of the next lap too, which would be the final lap.
Through the edges, the gap has shrunk to a second. These tyres have well and truly fallen off the wagon. Bags is under pressure. Silverfort closing in.
Roscoe's closed in another second, almost a second.
4.4 is the gap between Roscoe and the race leader. So here we go. What's going to happen in this final 5.8 kilometres of this British Grand Prix? Well, let's find out. It's the beginning of lap 26 of 26 here at Silverstone. The final lap has begun. 2:10 separate the top two. Ferrari Pro gets a 5-second penalty for speeding. Here comes Silverstone all over the back of Bags Liddell as Whitey
Ferrari had a puncture, that's why! He had a puncture.
So, it is puncture territory.
They're in trouble. Yeah, they're in trouble, probably. These meme runners. Keep your eyes on them.
So, Silverfort's going to overtake Bags. Silverfort now has 2/3 of a lap to build up 3 seconds to Bags Liddell. Or maybe, more critically, 3 seconds over Roscoe. 6 seconds, rather, over Roscoe. Maybe, more critically. Let's keep the gap now to intervals, shall we? Interval. There we go. 4 seconds is the gap between Bags and Roscoe. Silverfort putting the hammer down, trying to pull away. Spicy's overtaking his teammate, ACW. His tyres have fallen off through the S's for the final time. The gap's increased to 1 second between the top two. The gap has shrunk to 3.9 between P2 and 3. It's going to come down to the final sector. It's 3.6 seconds now between Liddell and Roscoe as they head through Stowe up towards Vale.
I'm keeping on the midfield. It was ACW and Plump Valley.
Alright, so Silverfort will not win this race. Will it be Bags Liddell or will it be Roscoe? Around the final turn, across the line. Is it enough for Roscoe? He'll cross the line. He misses out. Bags Liddell will win the British Grand Prix by 3.5 tenths of a second.
Wow. And didn't get a puncture. He's fortunate.
Silverfort finishes P3.
He's still got a podium out of it, at least, even with 6 seconds. Pump got 4th.
ACW,
by the way.
P5, then Vengeance, then Spicy, then Plebs, Andre and Costa will end up finishing in the top 10. But this is the end to his podium streak. It's over.
Yep.
It's all over, Red Rover, for Marcus Costa. But he's still in a fantastic position in the Drivers' Championship.
Wow. Well, Ferrari Pro's got destroyed Ferrari on my end.
Driver of the day has been given to Plez for his performance. So down the corridor of celebration for the first time in this season, it'll be the Aston Martin driver of Bags Liddell. He just hung on. 3.5 tenths is the finishing gap between the top two. He takes the win at Silverstone. P2 to Roscoe, P3 to Silverfort, which we honestly didn't expect from him at all. Wow.
That's incredible. That actually was a very damn good race.
One of the most unexpected results, I think, of this season. Bags Liddell, our race winner from 11th on the grid. Roscoe finishing in P2. Look at that gap at the end. 0.361 seconds. Silverfort P3, then Pump, then ACW. Vengeance rounds out the top 6. Followed by Spicy, Plevs, Andre, and Marcus Costa, who did snag fastest lap, so you get an extra point for his efforts. Marvel in P11, then G4 Zach, then Whitey, Ferrari Pro, and Powerside, rounding out the point scoring places. Pato a lap down in 16th, and Hillers 17th. Our only retirement that brought out the race-changing safety car.
So apparently some things I've just noticed in the Discord. ACW mentioned the Ferrari Pro's tires were at 77% and they popped. Bags was at 85% and they didn't pop.
It sort of reaffirms my theory that it's all RNG when it comes to punctures. I really do firmly believe that. that when it comes to punctures, as well as safety cars, I believe it's RNG. Like, there's no proper formula behind it, there's nothing. It's just random draw of a number. And if you're unlucky, then you're unlucky. So...
if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
That's right. So...
jeez.
Yeah, geez, alright. That sort of sums it up. But we'll invite the top 3 in. We'll go blue screen for a moment. We'll get a few words from our top 3 finishers. We'll be back in just a moment. Add players. I should have all of them friends. Should do. Bags. There's Elliot. Roscoe. Where is Roscoe? There's Roscoe. Oh. Oh. Gee whiz. Right, that was something. That whole race was something.
Yep. Nothing
was to plan, I think. Everything got flipped.
Yeah, talk about a flip in the script.
Yeah, just the entire top half of the field became the bottom half after the safety car. Like, that's insane. I wonder if the top... I did invite them, right? I'm pretty sure I invited them. Hang on. Did I not add all that? There's Roscoe. And there's him. Oh. Your 2 audio levels should be alright, shouldn't they? For share. Your audio comes through your streams, right? Should be alright, I would think.
Free time, though.
Yeah. Hello, Silverford as well. You there, Silverford? Well, there's a microphone.
Once he gets his mic working.
Yeah.
Am I on the podium or not?
Yeah, you're third.
Yeah, you finished
you
third place.
Oh, well... oh.
What do you mean? Oh. Alright, no, we're going to start interviews. Hang on a minute.
Time for investigation.
We go from third, we make our way up to first. We know the go. Silverford! Now, you ended up finishing P3. What was the about?
Because I'm probably not going to finish P3 after the stewards. Most
Why?
likely, but...
Alright.
Yeah, I'll just think it right now, I don't care.
Oh, well.
There was an incident with Silverfort and Plebs at Cops in the sprint race where Plebs ended up facing the wrong direction.
Yeah, but if he gets a penalty from that, it will only be in the sprint. So
should be only in the sprint, so he should be fine.
Oh, okay.
He should be fine.
Oh shit! Really?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Crichton in Tier 1 got a penalty for an incident with GeForce Leo at Miami during the sprint
that's
race.
right.
And his penalty was only affected in the sprint. So if you do end up getting a penalty for that, it's only in the sprint. So
nice. Okay.
Alright. How did your qualifying go, Mr. Silverfort, initially?
Well, initially, I was kind of shitting my pants. Conditions were not in favor of my setup at all. I was running a super low downforce, so yeah, trying to set a competitive lap time was not easy at all.
I imagine.
Every traction zone, I wasn't full throttle until like 50 meters after the corner. It was so horrendous. Yeah.
No, P6 at the end of qualifying.
P6. Yeah.
What time did you set? A 1 minute 41.8. You were 7/10 off pole position at the time.
7/10.
7/10 around Silverstone is a fair bit. But
Shocking.
you did alright considering the setup you had. So,
yeah.
That's not too bad. But no, you started P6 for the sprint. How did that go? You made mention of one noteworthy bit already.
Oh, there's 2 incidents in the sprint race. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing during that race. Both incidents were completely my fault, so yeah, I'm sorry to both ACW and Plebs. Yeah. The first incident, I think it was the end of lap 1. I hadn't anticipated the concertina effect, so I just braked too late and tagged ACW and wasn't able to spin.
Yeah, I was right there as well. Like, you went up the inside of me going to the final chicane, and then
I don't know, man. It's always Silverstone if I do stupid stuff. Remember, like last season?
Yeah.
Pit lane?
Yeah. I actually mentioned that in the party. Yeah, it's like.
I don't know. I always do stupid stuff here. I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, the second incident, I felt like it was more avoidable. Because I think it was just at the crossover point between Inters and Dries, and I had like 6 seconds of penalties. I was like super frustrated. I wasn't thinking straight, so I was just like defending for my life. I wasn't thinking of the race ahead. So Plebs got a run on me coming up the cops. We went side by side, and unfortunately we touched. Knocked him to the right a bit, and I think that caused him to lose control. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
Unlucky. No, not great sprint racing. You ended up finishing outside of the points anyway with 12. So even if you get a time penalty, it won't directly affect.
Well deserved 12. I don't deserve any points for the race, honestly. Yeah.
But, no, then the main race came around. Started P12. How was the start for you?
Oh god, I don't remember. I don't remember what happened.
No,
I think I had a decent start. Oh yeah. Immediately on that one, I was going to go side by side with Plebs yet again at cops. So I immediately just braked.
Backed
I just
out?
went like, please go.
Notice
please
that.
go. I backed out immediately. Yeah. I wasn't gonna let shit happen again.
Fair enough.
So I let him go immediately. And also as a way to apologize for the incident. Yeah.
But,
then I think I was on mediums and everyone else was on hards. So I had like a little bit more pace than Bex, so I passed him.
Yep.
And then the luckiest safety car of my life came out. The luckiest safety car. I was like centimeters away from the pit exit line, the pit entry line.
Yep.
It was so perfectly timed for me.
Yep.
Jeez. And then it was on the hards as well. So upon the restart, I knew that there was no point to fight the medium runners. So I just decided to let them go. Because I knew at the end they were going to be hanging on for dear life with those mediums. Yeah. But, and in the end it did kind of work out, so yeah, P3.
Yeah, no, you made the most of the ending of that race. You got by bags. Was it hammer time after that to try and pull away as much as you could?
No. No way I was putting 6 seconds in the last sector.
Well, you could have been pushing as hard as you could to try and hang on to P3. You know? I'm trying to give you credit here, man.
Apparently he doesn't want the credit, Lane.
No, he just thought it was about it and he ended up finishing third.
I know, right?
Is that what happened?
Yes.
Even though you want very guilty. I'm just kidding.
I just feel guilty at the moment. Yeah.
I won't hard pressure on that too much. We already had that happen.
Well, no, the ending of the race, you certainly took advantage of what you had, and you ended up finishing on the podium, so well done to you. KD, have you got anything to ask Silverfoot at all?
Nah, not too much, other than just congrats on your podium, though. Was a bit interesting, but at least you got the podium, that's all that matters. If that's the case on your end.
Yeah. I want to forget this day.
One final question for you, Silverfoot. Next week we're heading over to COTA, the United States Grand Prix. How do you feel heading into next week?
Yeah, I like COTA, but I may or may not be racing next week, so...
okay.
Yeah, it's tentative at the moment.
Alright.
Yeah, but yeah, I love COTA. Definitely be fun.
Well, hopefully we do see you next week. And if we do, best of luck to you. But for now, congrats on the P3 finish, and don't feel too bad because, you know...
Yeah,
incidents happen, so it happens. But no, congrats on the P3. Well done.
Thank you.
We'll move on to second place. Roscoe, I'd say a pair of really solid races from your end. Qualifying though, 11th. How was it out there?
Don't ask. I was going to run a dry setup because I knew the main race was going to be dry, but oh my god, I had to put so much front wing on, and my god, the car with the low rear wing that I had on, which was going to be for the dry, it wasn't never going to work at all. So I was dreading when I saw the wet weather icons for both the qualifying and the sprint race. So, but I think we got through those okay-ish, I think.
Yeah, no, I'd say you did pretty well. I imagine a fair few people were running dry setups, but even so, it's not easy out there. But races definitely went better, I'd say. 5th place finish in the sprint, making up fair few places. How was that sprint race for you?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, majority of us probably you would have seen started on soft compound tyres because the rain was pretty much going to be imminent straight away, and well, we didn't know how long it would take the rain to pretty much hit straight away. So I think it took like a couple of laps before we all dived in for the intermediates. But I mean, I felt like my dry pace would have been all right in the sprint race, but the pace on the inters, I mean, it wasn't too bad. I tried to stay clear of all the carnage that was probably happening around me. I think my teammate Marco got caught up in a bit of a tangle with Plebs and Silverfort, so it was a bit unfortunate for my teammate. But I just tried to stay out of trouble and tried not to get pens, and we got a good starting position, obviously, for the main race.
Yeah, that's right. With that 5th place start, you started on the mediums for that. Got away pretty tightly, if I can remember. But the critical thing that really helped you in the race is that you made an early pit stop before the safety car came out. Could you believe it? How much you managed to gain after that safety car period?
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the Delta, if the Delta was non-existent, I probably would have been well ahead of these two, Silverford and Bags, if that didn't happen. But I mean, I was trying something a little bit different. You know, some strategies haven't necessarily gone my way in the races. So, and I was more sort of banking like if we got a late safety car, like probably about 10 laps to go or something, then I'd keep. Well, I think my mediums were only like in the late 20s. So if something were to happen later on in the race, then I probably could have chucked the mediums back on later on. But I knew it was too risky to go into the mediums when the safety car came out. I've done a league race before where I've taken the mediums well and truly, over half race distance, and they die very quickly at the end. Trust me. Yeah. So I knew I had to. Like Silverfall said, I just let the medium runners go. I knew I didn't really have the pace with those guys, but if I just kept in touch with them, I thought it was a good opportunity. And well, at the time, I didn't really know like who had what penalties in front of me, so I just tried to keep it on track as best I could, and nearly got the win. I swear I'm close to a win in this series. I've come second this many times if you count from last season. I swear I'm close, but. I mean, I knew Vengeance was struggling on that last lap, and I mean, I was trying to get past him as quickly as I could so I could keep within 3 seconds for Bags and obviously 6 seconds for Silverfort. So I knew it was probably going to be. I didn't want to like do a risky move and ruin my whole race completely. So I sort of bided my time, but whether it cost me to win or not, probably doesn't matter now. It is what happens. Them's the breaks, unfortunately. So, but look, we'll take a P2, best result of the season so far. So, nothing to be sniffed at.
Absolutely not. If I was in your position, though, I'll definitely be stinging, losing by 3.5 tenths. It's not much. It's not much. But no, you put on a hell of an effort right at the end there to close the gap up as much as you did. So well done on that. KD, have you got anything to ask Roscoe?
No, not too much, really. Other than pretty much just congratulations though on your P2. Seemed like at least a little bit of luck came your way. I kind of say the same thing to Silverford, but other than that, pretty much congratulations, and P2 is a solid effort indeed.
Yes, thank you. Not too bad.
But one final question for you, Roscoe. Next week we're heading over to Kota for the US Grand Prix. How do you feel heading into next week?
Well, I haven't done too many laps around Kota. I think myself and Bags are probably doing another league. We're doing Kota in another league later this week. So, I mean, we'll probably have a little bit of practice going into Kota. So, but yeah, not too sure what to expect. But I mean, we'll give it our best shot anyway.
That's good to hear. Well, best of luck for next week. But for now, congratulations on your first podium of the season. I'm pretty certain. Is it?
Yes, I think it is. Yes.
P2 finish at Silverstone. Not a bad effort at all,
Yes.
so well done.
Thank you, and well done to both Bags and Silverford on the podium.
Speaking of which, we'll move to the man on the top step. Bags Liddell,
Yes.
you're the winner of the British Grand Prix. How does it feel?
Feels surreal, honestly.
But it started off decently solid. P6 at the end, P7, sorry, at the end of qualifying. How was it on your end?
At the start, it was definitely a struggle, just trying to get used to the conditions. I think before my first flying lap even started, I had a half spin out of the final corner, and I just knocked off half of my front wing on the inside wall, so that run was a wash. But then once I got back out, I just started putting in laps, finding more and more time. And I was pretty happy with the lap I ended up getting at the end.
Sprint race, though, went backwards. P11 at the end of that. What happened?
Yeah. I ended up spinning at the same corner after like a couple of laps. I just lost the back end. Went around on me. Thankfully, it didn't pick up any damage.
Yep.
And then once the rain hit, I really wasn't going anywhere anytime soon.
That would have been the same with anybody, I think.
Yeah.
When the rain comes, it is difficult to make moves, especially when you're stuck in the middle of the pack. So no P11 at the end, no points in the sprint. But dear God, did it turn around for you in the main race? So how did the start go on your end? You started on the hard tyre. How was it?
It wasn't too bad at the start. I was managing to keep a fairly solid pace to the guys around me.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't, because I knew Stilderfort, at least behind me, was on the mediums. I wasn't going to battle him too much. Then I think Plebs as well, he was starting further down. He had a lot more pace, so I didn't fight him too much either.
Yep.
I just kind of decided to just race my own race until whatever happened. And then eventually that safety car came out right as I was next to the pit entry.
Yeah. Dove it straight in, put on the medium compound tyre. Did you know what you were in for when you put that on, that early in the race?
I wasn't too sure. I had a feeling I'd be able to get to them to the end, but I knew that it would definitely be a struggle.
Yep.
Getting that early.
Initial pace though seemed really good. You seemed good, very much in control out there. Was that a similar thing from your end behind the wheel?
Yeah, definitely. Like I could tell I was one of the quicker guys out there, just being on those fresher mediums. Like I managed to get by Silverfort pretty quickly, and then took a bit longer to get past Marcus than I would have liked, but eventually I cleared him and then started to pull a gap while guys behind just sort of battled a little bit.
Yep. But yeah, no, you managed to keep your nose dry, keep out of trouble. And then towards the end of the race, you had the margin in hand. You saw Vengeance get the time penalty. That must have been a massive relief when you saw that.
Definitely was. He was the main person I was focused on for most of that second stint. I knew Roscoe, his pace would only really come towards the very end on those hards. But yeah, once I saw Vengeance get that time penalty, I knew it was going to be, at the very least, P2.
Yep. But how shocking were those tyres right at the end?
Oh, they were absolutely terrible. Like it wasn't until like the last couple of laps that they really started to drop off. Like even when they were around, because by the end I think the fronts were at about 85%. But overall, like most of those laps, I was managing to keep a consistent pace. Like I was doing consistent low 31s.
Yep.
Like, that was only about maybe half a second off of my personal best. So it wasn't until those last 2-3 laps where the pace really started to drop off.
I know, we sort of noticed that here in the comms box, that you were maintaining a gap to Silverfort until, with 2 to go, till about lap 25, end of lap 24, and then the pace just fell.
Yeah.
Tyres just switched off, and you had no pace on them.
Yeah.
And Silverfort cleaned you up quick smart on the final lap.
Yeah, like I knew that was going to happen. I just wasn't going to fight it. I just wanted to make sure I at least kept DRS down the hangar straight, which luckily I did.
Yep. And coming around club, crossing the line, looking up at the timer, how hard was your heart beating at that point? Just looking at the screen, waiting for Roscoe Arm to cross the line.
Oh.
It must have been pretty nerve-wracking.
It was probably the most stressful thing I've dealt with in a long time.
And then the release?
It was. You could ask the guys in the party.
You got pretty animated?
Yep.
Oh, fair enough. Because this is your first win in Elite, I'm certain.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was close to getting one last season in Australia.
Yep.
As time penalty that took that away.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, you broke the duck here at Silverstone, of all places. One of the most iconic tracks of them all, so... No, congrats to you, a huge moment for you. So well done. KD, have you got anything to ask our race winner?
How much pro did you have on that final lap? When you were... I think if I remember... I read somewhere in the Discord, your tires were at 85%? Is that right? On the mediums?
Around that, yep.
How much were you praying for the tires? Please do not pop.
It was so stressful because I saw a couple of guys had pitted like maybe 1 or 2 laps before because of punctures. And then on that last lap as well, as I was coming around Luffield and around the old final corner onto the old pit straight, Zach said that he got a puncture on his front right. And that really threw things into overdrive.
You could have had to Hamilton it, man.
Yeah.
Freewheel it across the line. That wouldn't have been nice.
No, definitely not. But luckily they managed to stay inflated long enough.
Your Pirellis hung on.
Yep.
And as a result, you took the win by 3.5 tenths of a second. Not much. It wasn't much, but they hung on for long enough. So, that's one final question for you, Bags. Next week, we're heading over to Kota. How do you feel heading towards the US Grand Prix?
Not really too confident. Like, I think we'll, as Roscoe said, got a race there later this week in a different league, and then also did a race there like a couple of weeks ago that you yourself also did. So at least I've got some sort of knowledge about how things are going to work there in terms of setup and whatnot. It's just about trying to find the right balance for them.
Yep. Well, best of luck then for next week, but for now, congratulations on winning the British Grand Prix. Well done.
Thank you.
And thank you to other gentlemen for joining us here in the comms box for answering a few questions of ours. And KD, a final thank you to you. Your help once again has been dearly appreciated here in the commentary booth.
Yeah.
But I think, chat, this will wrap everything up. Another fantastic race on the Elite Series, and one that none of us were expecting at all. But I think with everything finally done, it's time for us to end the stream. I've been LaneEveringham. My co-commentator, as always, is KD1997. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 9 of the championship at Circuit of the Americas for the United States Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.